I'm Theo.
And I'm Juliet.
And this is Apologies Accepted.
We offer an entertaining look at some of the big issues in history by examining public apologies of the famous and infamous.
We're looking at politicians, serial killers, actors, and you.
Send us a public apology you would like to make, and we'll read it on the air and give you a chance to redeem yourself or just get some guilt off your shoulders.
We're here for you. Once a week, maybe more if you're really, really sorry. Hi, everybody.
This is Apologies Accepted,
the podcast.
And it seems like we have a lot of lag going on right here with our Zoom, so hopefully that improves. My network improves. And
that's me trying not to talk over you.
Oh, okay.
I'm holding back.
Don't hold back, Theo. Don't ever hold back. Express
yourself. Isn't that a song?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't look back? That's a song.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's the 12th of December. You just had your anniversary. Speaking of the 10th of December, happy anniversary. Yes. How many years has it been now?
Thank you so much.
15?
We have been legally married for 4 years, and we have been living together for 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is it the same anniversary for both?
I thought you were going to say the same guy.
Same guy for both.
Is it the same guy? Wow.
I thought you got legally married a long time ago.
No. So James proposed.
Confusing.
Okay. So here's what happened. In 2006, they passed legal gay marriage in the UK, and James is a British citizen.
Yeah.
And so I have, not surprising, a complicated birthday situation where I have two birthdays. One is on March 25th, and the other is on March 26th. And it's a long story that I'm not going to share. I'll happy to share, but it doesn't matter. We'll be on the air for 4 hours. So I have two birthdays because my mother forgot when my birthday actually was. Right? She went into labor on the 25th, and then one day we looked at my birth certificate and it said the 26th, and she was like, they gave me a C-section. They knocked me out. I was in labor forever. I thought you were born on the 25th. I didn't need to look at your birth certificate to know when you were born. And I was like, I always knew I was adopted. I hate you. I hate everybody. I hate life. So I had my family birthday, which we celebrate on the 25th, legal birthday on 26th. There's my complicated story, short version. And so in 2006, on my birthday, the first of them, on the 25th, James took me out to dinner, and we were in LA, and two of our best friends came with us, and we walked to a restaurant, highly unusual in LA, but we did it, and we walked like 10 blocks, right?
Okay.
And then we had a very nice dinner, and then we walked home, and James was like really busting a pace to get back to the house, and I was like, this is why we don't walk here, right? We got to the house, and then next thing I know, he's down on one knee with a ring, proposing at midnight between my two birthdays. Right? Well, so he went to a lot of effort, but also it showed me like there's a lot of respect for my stupid birthday situation that I've created. Right. But I also blame on my mother. So cool. And I was like, yeah. And the reason why I've had plenty of people propose marriage to me, right?
Of course. Who hasn't? For sure.
All the time, nonstop. But, when you can't get married and somebody says, let's get married, it's sort of like, okay, sure, we'll pretend, right?
Yeah.
But when James did it, it was like, wow, there's some real teeth here because legally he can now.
It's legal now, yeah.
So we were going to fly to the UK and do it. And then fast forward like 14 years, we finally did it. Right? Because this whole thing of like, if we get married, so-and-so can't come and I really want them to be there. Oh, where are we going to get married? Let's do it in Scotland. No, let's do it in Australia. No, let's do it here. Oh, what season? And it was just like, listen, Princess Diana, marriage doesn't have to be complicated. You just go and get a piece of paper, a priest spits on it, and you're done.
Yep.
My spit joke went nowhere.
Exactly how it works.
I thought for sure you were going to be like, what?
I was just going along with it.
Well, I didn't have anything because the spit was the joke, and so we'll move from that. So anyway,
you've been married 4 years legally.
We've been married 4 years. We've been together for a long time. But the reason you thought we were married longer is that 2006, James gave me a ring. which is a very nice ring. And so, yes, and here we are. And I have every expectation that next year we will also still be together celebrating an anniversary.
Well, that's very encouraging and positive. So,
yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
My anniversary is the 20th, I believe. And it was 2003, so that makes it 100 years ago. And we're going to be in Joshua Tree to celebrate Christmas, so on our anniversary. So I don't know what we're going to do. Theo's given me some hotel restaurant recommendations, so we'll probably go out to eat if we do go out. Don't know. We'll see. And then Christmas is coming up, so we'll have our Christmas podcast, which the topic of which is yet to be determined.
Decided. It'll be Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be Christmassy. There'll be a Christmas apology if we have to invent one.
I'll make one. That's it. No, I think I have a good subject. We'll see if you agree. Yeah, we'll save it.
Last year we did sweaters with dicks on them. I think it was.
So I don't want to say now because I don't want to set it up, right? Because if I offer this idea, then you're like, no, and then the audience is like, yeah, we'll hear about it. But yeah, cool. So it's time for What's Shakin' Bacon.
Oh my God, it is time for What's Shakin' Bacon. I totally forgot.
Which we kind of did. Your anniversary, my anniversary.
That's what's shaking. What else is shaking, Theo?
Oh, well, sad news this morning on December 12th, a Sunday, Anne Rice passed away at the age of 80. Yeah, and
She was that old. I didn't realize she was 80.
I didn't realize she was 80, and I have to say, it's the news that made me very sad. I felt it when I saw it, like, oh no. And I've never met Anne Rice. I have no reason to be sad other than I've read 4,000 of her books, and she was a very important early influence on me as a writer and as a vampire. I'm just kidding about the writing part.
I met her once at a hotel I worked at. She came in to get a room. And she talked to me for a few minutes, and she seemed a little bit standoffish, but, fine. She seemed fine. And she didn't cause any trouble over the night. So, it was a successful interaction.
All right. Glad to know that.
She moved to Southern California, didn't she, after the hurricane?
I'm going to say I read a lot of Anne Rice up until about a certain point, and then I stopped reading Anne Rice. And much as I enjoyed her, it was sort of like, I've read enough vampire books, 30 of them. I'm done. Right.
Right.
And so she went from, writing about vampires to writing about Jesus. She became very Catholic. She went back to the religion and was super, super Catholic. And then she left Catholicism again for the same reason she left it in the first place. And somewhere within all that, she moved to Southern California. And there were reasons for it, and I don't know why. The hurricane might have been one, but I think it was something more like, I don't know. So she got involved with a Catholic organization that was based in Southern California. Whatever. I think I'm filling that in, right?
I wonder how she felt about her earlier novels when she was Catholic again. If she felt that they were blasphemous.
Well, I don't think I read an interview with her, and I should have gone back because I knew I was going to be talking about Anne Rice this morning, but I didn't. And so, there was a little bit of, there was a little bit of contrition. I was very hard on the church in some of my work, but I was feeling X, Y, or Z and very angry about her first child's death, which is what spurred Interview with the Vampire. The whole reason that she wrote Interview was her daughter, and I forget her daughter's name, died at the age of 5 of leukemia. And so Anne Rice wrote a vampire book about a little girl vampire. And what she was doing was rescuing her own daughter from death by writing about a girl that could never die. Right?
Didn't realize that. Interesting.
That's why vampires. Yeah. Oh, so cool. Let me rephrase that. That's not cool. It's very tragic. But her husband, Stan, was the star of the family in the early days. He was a professor of poetry at, I forget the school, whatever, in New Orleans. And they were drinking a lot because of the grief of their daughter's death. And she would spend the weekends drunk in the bedroom writing her vampire book while her husband had a bunch of grad students over who were all like, oh, you're Dr. Rice, you're so smart about poetry and tell us everything, right? And so, yeah. And when Interview was first released, it did nothing. And then for some reason in the late 70s, it started to pick up traction as kind of a cult thing. There's this idea that Anne Rice wrote Interview with a Vampire, and it was an immediate success. And that's not what happened at all. The book was kicking around for a really long time. It eventually just caught on. Right?
I did not realize that.
Yeah, so kind of cool story. So Anne, we'll miss you, but miss Octavia Butler more because I would still be reading her. Yeah.
Absolutely.
On a more pleasant note, I embarrassed the fuck out of myself at Starbucks on Friday.
Oh, good. Tell us.
Yeah. So I go to a drive-through and I have my coffee. Yeah. And the guy was killing time because the coffee was taking a while to get there, And so he said, "Oh, so are you doing anything this weekend? Are you busy?" And I was like, "Oh, no, we have a friend coming to town and that's kind of that." And I said, "What about you? I bet you're busy on a Friday." And what I meant was, I bet this location is very busy serving coffee on Fridays. And what he heard was, he is sexually active on Fridays.
I bet you're a whore.
Because what he said was, "I beg your pardon?" But I was like,
He did really?
Yeah. Oh, and he was gay, right?
Wow.
And like we clocked each other. Right.
Okay.
So he knew that I was gay. He was clearly gay.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I think it was something like that. But anyway, I was.
That's kind of funny.
Deeply embarrassed, and it was like, oh God.
What did you say? Oh, I didn't mean you. I meant the store.
No, I didn't say that at all. I would have melted into the floorboards had I said that. No, I said exactly what I said to you.
Yeah.
I meant, I bet the store is very busy on Friday. And it was not fun feeling like the creepy old man hitting on staff. Yeah.
That's why I like not going out, because I don't embarrass myself very often.
You don't hit on people accidentally. You're so wise. Stay home. Okay. And so I'm going to ask you about Children of Men because you saw it, but before I ask, I want to share with everybody that once upon a time, you recommended a movie to me. We're friends.
Oh, did?
We make recommendations to each other all the time. I value your recommendations. I pretty much always follow up on your recommendations, right? If you say read a book, I'll pick it up, right? Flip through it. Sometimes I'm loving it. Sometimes it's like, what?
What the fuck is this shit? Yeah, totally.
Movies, totally. And vice versa, right? That's how it works. And so everybody who doesn't know about friendship, that is how it works. And so way back, I remember it. Way back, when I was living with my roommate and didn't have a lot of money, and VHS was still a thing. You had recommended a movie to me, which I went to get, which was Reservoir Dogs, right?
Oh, okay.
And you said, "Yeah, it's a comedy. It's so funny." And I watched that entire fucking movie, waiting for it to turn into a comedy.
Oh, boy.
And when they cut that guy's ear off with a razor.
Oh, my God. You laughed so hard.
No. I was like,
I can't believe I recommended that movie to you. What was I thinking? Well, I mean, I thought it was funny, but I would not expect you to think it was funny. That's so strange.
No, I didn't. I was quite traumatized. When the film ended. Did you watch the whole thing,
or did you stop?
Oh, yeah.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched it. Well, I mean, it was a good movie, right? It was a good movie, but you're right. It had I known what the movie was about, and of course I didn't read the back of the thing or anything. I was just like, cool, this is popular. It's great. I'll watch it. So, no. But it was a good movie.
Experience. Yeah, I did not have that experience with Children of Men. I was not horrified by it. It was good. I enjoyed it. I watched the whole thing, which almost never happens anymore with movies. So I watched the entire thing. I thought it was interesting, and I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. I hadn't prepared my speech about Children of Men. I remember it, which is another thing that I almost never do. So,
That's great.
So that was good. And I really liked the woman that played the mother. I thought she was a really good actress. I don't remember who she is, but
me either. Really I think Clive Owen was great in it. He just set a really good tone of kind of doom.
Yeah.
Doom. Yeah.
Doom.
Yeah. And then it's a very sad ending. I made my sister watch it, and she watched half of it, and then she picked up her iPhone and would peek up every now and then. Yeah, she wasn't into it. Yeah. And I was like, I
was into it. It was a little bit too close to home these days, I think, just with all of the apocalyptic stuff that's going on in the movie and kind of apocalyptic stuff that's going on in real life right now. So I was a little bit uncomfortable with that aspect of it, but I think it was a really good story, and I enjoyed the movie. So thank you for the recommendation.
You are welcome. And so what about you? How is your week and what is going on?
What's shaking bacon?
What's shaking bacon?
I am looking for a personal trainer. So if any of our thousands of listeners know a good personal trainer, either virtual or the San Francisco area, I would appreciate a recommendation.
No virtual trainers. No. It's got to be in person. I have
to do virtual. I'm not going to go to a gym. It's full of germs. They can come to your house. Well, that might work.
Germs, they make you stronger. Germs do.
But that doesn't have anything to do with COVID. I mean, COVID does not make you stronger. So I do not want to get COVID. I will not go to a gym, but one of the women that I interviewed has a gym in her home. So she would train me one-on-one in her gym in her home, which I would feel more comfortable with. And it's walking distance from my house.
Oh, so okay.
That's really good. The problem is she's really expensive. It's more than I had planned to spend. I was thinking maybe $400 a month or something like that, and this is more than that. I mean, it's more than 10 cents more than that. So I'm not sure it would be a good idea. But the good thing is that she doesn't expect me to sign up for 6 months or anything like that. It's just month to month. And she seems to have her head on her shoulders about nutrition and stuff like that. So at least we agree with each other about that sort of thing. So I think it would be good. I have had sort of a personal trainer once. I used to go to boot camp, which is kind of similar, I guess.
That counts.
And I really liked boot camp, but I'm too out of shape now to do boot camp. So I need somebody to take me from the ground floor up to fitness, basically. So that's what's shaking bacon in my life right now.
That is huge bacon. That's stupid.
And you're going to get a personal trainer too, right?
I am, yes. I'm going to join a gym because I am not afraid of germs. And also...
Do they have Gold's gyms in Austin?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, of course they do.
You used to like that one. I don't know how big it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. Gold's is everywhere. Okay. It's even overseas.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I really, obviously not a commercial. I really liked Gold's Gym specifically because the first time I joined Gold's Gym, which was my first time joining a gym, I just picked Gold's because it was close to my house. The guy that was signing me up said, "Listen, I have to let you know, this isn't a social club. People aren't here to make friends. There's no hanging out and talking in classes or, it was a very small Gold's Gym, right?
Right.
And he was like, the focus here isn't getting in shape. And I was like, that's exactly why I'm here. I have friends.
Right. Totally.
And he was right. Like, people just didn't hang out. There wasn't talking. They weren't making friends. They were there to work, and that was it. And that really helped me form my focus? No, my viewpoint, my perspective. There we go, on working out. Yeah, so I became a rabid gym rat, and it was awesome. And so, yeah.
I think it's a little different at the Gold's Gym in the Castro.
Oh, yeah, that's a bar without alcohol. Yeah. Yeah, I dragged you there to work out when I was at the height of my craziness. It was fun. But it was also like, I dragged a friend to a gym to work out with me. That's the level of weirdness I was at
Well,
with
that
working
was
out.
probably when I was pretty much at my fitness peak as well. Not peak, but I was on the way there or something like that, because I was running a lot and I was doing all that kind of stuff I never usually do. So it was not completely out of the question for me to go to the gym with someone. As it would be
exactly.
now. I mean, if someone suggested it now, I'd be like, do you know me?
Right, now we would stay home and bake pies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got the pie thing and everything, so I'm cool. We can make bundt cakes and totally awesome.
Cool.
So,
let's open a bakery in old age together.
Oh, all right, that'd be fun. A bakery bookstore.
You sold. Done.
All right.
Guaranteed. And we'll call it Eat and Read. No.
All right, sounds good.
We'll figure it out. We'll call it something. Hey, speaking of forming businesses.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about.
We are
20 minutes into
we actually
it.
We actually have a podcast today that we're going to talk about, and it's about Better.com, which is a company that specializes in fast, low-fee approvals for mortgages. So I think that sometime last month, TechCrunch reported that Better.com was getting a bunch of money from its backers sooner than they expected. And promptly after that, the company, which is valued at about $7 billion, announced that it was laying off 9% of its 10,000 person staff. So what happened was that day, it was a Wednesday, Better.com closed their office and sent out an email invitation at noon for a 12:15 meeting, which A, unfair, B, what? And then the founder and CEO, whose name is Vishal Garg, whose equity in the company is worth $1 billion at least, delivered a short speech informing employees that they were being terminated. And he said, in part, "I come to you with not great news. The market has changed, as you know, and we have to move with it in order to survive, so that hopefully we can continue to thrive and deliver on our mission. This isn't news that you're going to want to hear, but ultimately it was my decision, and I wanted you to hear from me. It's been a really, really challenging decision to make. This is the second time in my career I'm doing this, and I do not want to do this. The last time I did it, I cried. This time, I hope to be stronger. We are laying off about 15% of the company for a number of reasons: the market, efficiency, and performances and productivity." And then he said, "If you're on this call, you are part of the unlucky group that is being laid off." And once he was done talking, the meeting ended abruptly, and the employees' computers automatically shut off. So
Yep.
harsh,
stupid,
abrupt, rude, stupid.
Yeah, all of it.
Who let him talk? Where was HR? Where was communications? Obviously, he sort of overran them and said, "This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm the CEO, so fuck you."
Right. And so that's the part of this that was really troubling for me. I have friends that run companies, right? No brag. But and they're small companies. They're not big ones like this. But, they have to make decisions about finances and keeping the company alive and letting people go. And COVID was hard for everybody, right? And so I asked my two friends, hey, if you delay people off, how would you do it? What would you do, right? And of course, they gave me and I've had to fire people. You've probably had to fire people, right?
Sure, love it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hate it, but what can you do? Anyway, it doesn't matter about all that. And so they both said, independent of each other, that they would have they basically said they would just go to the direct line reports and say, hey, you need to let your team know. And that's what makes it personable when you are letting somebody go. It's not fun to talk about people being laid off. We've probably all been laid off to a certain, well, not to a certain degree. You're either laid off or you're not. But I mean, everybody's been laid off, or most everybody's been laid off.
And it's best to do it in the kindest way possible. And the best way to do it is with people who know you and who can be compassionate, right?
Right. And so doing it over a Zoom call to 900 people, I get that's a lot of people. And he was probably like, oh, this is my decision, and I really want to bear the responsibility of I'm taking the blame. So on one hand, it's kind of like, okay, you're taking ownership of your decision and you're the one delivering the bad news, but there's no way that you can personally tell 900 people.
Right.
Sure, you could do it in Zoom in a call, but like that really just reduces people to what they are, which is cogs in the machine.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it very clear that people are interchangeable, or what's the word?
Dispensable,
disposable, something like that. Yeah, and it was a surprise to a lot of people. So one guy said that he had a positive performance review call with his manager in the morning the layoffs were announced, and another one who asked to be anonymous for fear of retaliation said that he was shocked. He said, "I thought I was safe. I had perfect reviews and thought I was an integral part of the team. It's a bummer because I know I worked really hard to help build up that company, and it looks like I just wasted my time."
Yep. And Vishal Garg, which is a name straight out of Game of Thrones. Like,
is it?
Oh, well, not really, but I mean, it could be. It should be. That's
I
Rocky name if I've ever heard one. Stop. Right now.
Okay.
No. Okay. It's not your show. You wouldn't like it. But
I didn't think so.
It's kind of the name of a villain. It's like Darth Vader's second cousin. Vishal Garg is here. Vishal went on to blind.com and commented anonymously that the people that were let go were stealing from better.com. Some of them were only working 2 hours a day.
Yeah, he said at least 250 of the people terminated were working an average of 2 hours a day while clocking in 8 hours plus in the payroll system. They were stealing from you and stealing from our customers who pay the bills that pay our bills. Get educated. He sounds like a charmer.
I didn't even read all of that. That is...
Totally.
I hate to say it, there's a lot about him that I find kind of funny. I mean...
funny in a bad way.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a jerk.
He's absolutely a jerk. He had a call with the employees that were not laid off half an hour after the layoff call, and he said to them, "You will not be allowed to fail twice. You will be encouraged to fail once, but not allowed to fail twice. Not meeting deadlines will not be acceptable." And he said he was trying to create Better 2.0 with a leaner, meaner, hungrier workforce, and that the company had hired the wrong people and had lost $100 million in the previous quarter. So he insulted everybody. He insulted people that he let go. He insulted people he didn't let go. He said that he told Fortune that the company's management reviewed productivity data to determine which staff to let go. So they looked at the number of phone calls that were answered, missed, and placed, and they looked at client meeting attendance. So they were basically spying on their people to see who was and wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and just let go the people who weren't, supposedly.
Right. And that, of course, puts productivity in this thing that can be quantified by numbers. So how many people have you met with, right? Not how many great ideas did you bring to the table? What accounts did you save? What processes or efficiencies did you put into place to make things better, right? What problem did you spot?
How many minutes were you on the phone?
Yeah. How many calls did you make? I can call my sister 40 times a day, everybody. I mean...
Right, totally. And people probably did. So he told an employee who was upset about the layoffs, he said, "Leave now and save us both the trouble. You're likely super well paid. Email me directly and we will pay you to leave early so we don't sit here waiting for you to show up with your end of the work that needs to be done and then get left holding the bag." So he was really good at insulting as many people as he possibly could.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He also insulted a top investor. Several months before laying off those people over the Zoom call, there's a dude named Howard Newman of the investment firm Pinebrook Partners, who wrote a letter expressing his concerns about the plan that Better.com had to go public. So I'm not going to go into all that going public stuff because, frankly, it bores me. But there was
money.
one plan. It's money. It's really,
Yeah, bottom line, it's money for the company and money for the investors.
Right. And Newman didn't like the way they were going about it. And he expressed his concerns, and Garg responded in a email copying almost all of the Better.com's investors, calling Newman sewage, an ingrate, a thug, and a miser. And then Pinebrook Partners sued Better.com, and the case was settled in November.
I'm sorry, calling somebody sewage and a miser?
I know. I know.
It's
You're really going over the top.
It's funny, but it's also and so this is the thing about this story, right? The story is not about better.com, right? It's not about corporate America. The story only becomes about the CEO and his behavior.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some problems around him, and he's going to be spending a lot of time in court because I have the feeling that the walls are going to start tumbling down. We will see.
Well, we'll talk about that. So the current and former Better.com employees told Motherboard that Garg's run-in with Howard Newman was typical of Garg's management style, which they described as unpredictable and sometimes vindictive. So his reputation as kind of an asshole goes back to at least last year when Forbes revealed the contents of an email to employees from Garg. This is the one I like the most. Hello, wake up, Better Team. You are too damn slow. You are a bunch of dumb dolphins. And dumb dolphins get caught in nets and eaten by sharks. So stop it. Stop it. Stop it right now. You are embarrassing me. I should laugh because
it's great.
That's
you know what it
horrible
is?
Email to get.
It's Anna Wintour,
dolphins,
right? It's this idea of the person. I hate to say Donald Trump, but it's also kind of Donald Trump. I'm gagging while I say that name, but it's this CEO that rises above humanity to shit on everyone beneath them. And they get away with it for years and years and years and years and years.
They do.
And it's part of their charm. It's part of their story. It's who they are. They love poking the eyes out. Yeah. And that's this guy.
Yeah. And he absolutely, one employee said that he had to get his kids out of the room before company meetings because Garg tended to use foul language and he didn't want his kids to hear the language that the CEO of his company was using.
Hey, listen, that's not a problem here. So fuck that guy.
That's right. He's a dumb dolphin. When one executive tried to compliment the team by sending an email in September saying, "Happy Friday, we've helped save our customers collectively millions," Garg tried to argue with him, saying the customer experience was still lacking and the employees weren't pressing a title insurance partner hard enough. He said, "You need to press your partner to the point of breaking, then break them. Break them. Please share the aggressive, I am going to break you tactics. Punish them. Punish them like they just stole candy from your little sister. And until you fight for the consumer, you aren't getting my love."
That is somebody I'm going to hang out with and have fun dinner with and a great conversation. And but would I work for that guy? No fucking way.
Oh my God, I want nothing to do with him. It's like that TikTok thing. See a toxic person, walk the other way. I don't know if you know that TikTok, but it's a sound. Anyway, so the Daily Beast noted that Garg had given one of his, quote, loyal lieutenants, Ilana Noller, stock options worth tens of millions of dollars plus $8,000 a month for 2 homes and other perks. No other executive at Better.com seems to have received a similar deal. And Noller left the company after she was placed on administrative leave for alleged bullying and other workplace grievances.
Yeah, so it's a good thing they handed her all that money so she could take it with her. Yeah.
I mean, I guess he rewarded people who were like him, who had a similar management style, which you see a lot. And
And it doesn't hurt. This is me. This is my spin, right? But when I read that he had given her tens of millions of dollars in stock options, which vested immediately. It wasn't a case of like...
It wasn't 4 years or whatever. Yeah. It was immediately.
Hey, we're going to give you this money. If you stick around for a few years and prove your worth, then you'll get all this money, right? No, it was, here's all the money, right? And so I was like, let's just take a look at who's getting all the money. And so she was one of Forbes 30 under 30, right?
Oh, wow.
Which, impressive, not stupid.
Right.
Doesn't hurt that she's beautiful.
I bet she was. There is.
Oh, yeah. Now she has a boyfriend, husband, but
she got a job like out of college or something with better.com or college or something like that. Maybe she had an MBA. I honestly don't know, but she was young and he like promoted her perhaps above her abilities.
Well, so what I will say is that she served sort of as like his, I always want to call them commanders in chief, and that's not it. They have one at the White House, chief of staff.
Chief of staff. Yeah.
Sort of chief of staff function.
Yeah.
And I think she was officially like a product manager, but on a thing that I found on her online, I forget where I found it. After a stint in commodities at Goldman Sachs, Knoller joined fintech mortgage lender Better.com in 2017. She launched its business-to-business division, landing partnerships with Tesla, Ally Bank, and American Express. Those deals now make up nearly 50% of Better's revenue. Today, Knoller manages...
What does Tesla have to do with mortgages?
I think Elon Musk is just everywhere anymore.
Okay.
Let's see. So those deals make up 50% of Better's revenue, which is a huge, huge, huge amount of revenue, right? So they went from 90,000 a month to 90 million today.
Wow.
So that's very impressive, right?
It is impressive.
And she headed the division, the department that created those relationships and built those strategies, and good for her. So does it make sense that she got tens of millions of dollars? Sure, if she actually really is the person who did this, or is she the person who gets the credit for what her team did? Because I hired Mary, and Mary's the one that negotiated that. Whatever, I don't know. Right.
Maybe, but she did it while bullying. So
yeah.
That's unfortunate. That's never good for a company. And Garg has been sued by Goldman Sachs and some other companies that I don't know anything about for things like improper and fraudulent activity at 2 prior business ventures and of misappropriating, quote, tens of millions of dollars. So there are a lot of lawsuits about him, including that he engaged in fraud, that he used ill-gotten money and stolen technology to found Better in the first place. His first business partner, Raza Khan, has alleged that Garg misappropriated both funds and proprietary software from their partnership to launch Better.com. And another group of investors has also filed suit alleging diversion of funds through a venture capital firm founded by Garg called 10 Capital. I think that's what it's called, 10 Capital. In one deposition in 2019, oh yeah, this is the good part. So his first business partner, Raza Khan, who was his friend and who was the best man at his wedding, he told him in a deposition where lawyers are sitting around the table, there's a court reporter or a stenographer,
you're under oath.
It's called. You're under oath. It's very serious. He told Raza Khan that he was going to staple him against a fucking wall and burn him alive.
Which, again, creativity there. Why do you have to staple him to the wall to then burn him alive?
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's very vivid.
It's
so he obviously has
angry.
some sort of intelligence, although it probably is not related to managing companies. And due to all the lawsuits, Morgan Stanley told Better.com that it would no longer work with him on an IPO. Around the same time, 2 members of the board resigned, and the firm's outside counsel stopped working with Better as well. And after the Zoom fiasco, where they laid off 900 people in a really rude way, 3 top Better employees resigned from the company. Marketing head Melanie Hahn, PR head Tanya Hare-Gilogli, and Vice President of Communications Patrick Lenahan. Garg apologized to his staff over email on Tuesday for the way he handled the layoffs, saying that he failed to show the appropriate amount of respect and appreciation for individuals who are affected and for their contributions to Better. And then on Friday, what happened on Friday, Theo?
Oh, well, Friday of this week, so just a few days ago, somebody was placed on administrative leave. He's taking some time. Yeah. And so here's what happened. It's wonderful when you have a volatile personality that creates a corporation and attracts a lot of attention and is
and money.
disrupting an industry, right? Because that's what
Yeah.
Better.com did to the mortgage lending industry. They've streamlined the process and made it a lot easier. So cool. But then that volatile personality, surprise, is volatile. And so once a business starts to get real and investors have put money in and expect money out, things like what Vishal has done, just treating people like garbage,
Pissing on your
not
staff.
popular anymore. And so he's out.
No.
He's not coming back. Yeah.
They said that the board of directors said in an email that he's taking time off effective immediately, and they have hired an outside firm to do a leadership and cultural assessment.
Yeah.
So chief financial officer is going to be managing the day-to-day decisions of the company, reporting to the board. So it's a dude that the chief financial officer is a dude that Vishal Garg hired. So he probably has a similar management style, but he will be reporting to the board, and I'm sure he's on notice.
Oh, well, he needs to be on notice. I will read you. Let's see, which one of the two first? Do you have the note from the board of directors?
No.
Okay, so here's what the board of directors sent out Friday to the entire employee family of Better.com, as well as investors. Good morning. Vishal and the board wanted to provide Better employees an update given the very regrettable events over the last week. Vishal will be taking time off effective immediately. During this interim period, Kevin Ryan, as CFO, will be managing the day-to-day decisions of the company, and he will be reporting to the board. As well, this is the board letting future investors know, and current investors, that the shit's over and done, and they've taken control. They are paying attention.
Yep.
As well, the board is engaged in an independent third-party firm to do a leadership and cultural assessment. The recommendations of assessment will be taken into account to build a long-term, sustainable, and positive culture at Better. We have much work to do, and we hope that everyone can refocus on our customers and support each other to continue to build a great company and a company, yay for us, board of directors.
Blah, blah, blah.
This guy that they've, the CFO, right?
Yep.
He, after Vishal laid off 900 people, right? Kevin Ryan said to CNN, having to conduct layoffs is gut-wrenching, especially this time of year. However, a fortress balance sheet and a reduced and focused workforce together set us up to play offense going into a radically evolving home ownership market. And so it's, people, but money. People sad, money. And, I get it. You have to have money. That's what businesses are all about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But quite honestly, Vishal and Kevin, the CFO, who's now the CEO or interim CEO, have lost the focus of what's actually going on. And it's that people are involved.
Right. And lawyers were hovering as well because there's something called the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which means that if you're going to lay people off, you need to give written notice to the workers 60 days before the layoffs, which often results in a 60-day
You do?
severance. And so that's why you often get 60-day severance when you're laid off. So because
but you get a 60-day notice that layoffs are coming?
You're supposed to get 60-day notice before you're actually laid off. Yes.
Wow. I've been laid off 3 times. Let me tell you, that has never been the case.
But you probably got at least 60 days severance, which is how they slide that in. So your actual severance day is 60 days after because you're getting paid for 60 days.
Oh, look how smart you are.
So initially when they laid off these 900 people, they only were going to give them a month worth of severance. But to be legal, they had to extend it to 60 days. So the lawyers are no longer hovering around the ex-employees because the Better.com has extended that severance to 60 days from 1 month. So that's good for the employees, and I guess it's good for Better.com. Although they only wanted to give a month's severance, which kind of sucks. I mean, that's not very much at all. I don't know what kind of salary grade these people were, but a month kind of sucks.
A month sucks, especially at Christmas time. And
it's really bad.
There's a lot of sadness there. But I mean, this type of a scenario isn't unique to Better.com or Gargamel.
No.
It's
Garg.
Definitely. I know. I did that on purpose, and I wasn't going to highlight it. I was just going to see does she laugh? Does she get it? Smurf watcher.
I used to babysit a kid who watched the Smurfs.
I used to watch the Smurfs. So I'd get stoned and watch the Smurfs.
I was just going to say, I was like, should I say that? And it was like, I know you're too old for the Smurfs, so I imagine you sitting there getting stoned and watching the Smurfs.
Oh, yeah, so, that's exactly what I did. They were boring even then.
They were the worst.
But whatever about the Smurfs. But, right. It's like we all know somebody who's been laid off and there's been a tragic, situation. I know a woman that worked 20 years for the same company in the same small company, right? It was a tour and travel company in LA, sightseeing company. But she went from a tour guide to VP of whatever it was.
I see.
Right. And they laid her off and they gave her 2 weeks severance.
Holy shit. That's rude. That's insult after injury or whatever.
Yep, it is.
That's terrible. Wow.
So these stories are not uncommon. What's hopeful, what's interesting is sort of this cultural shift of people and work.
Hopefully. Vishal Garg himself got a bonus in 2020 of $25 million based on his 2020 performance. So he wasn't hurting, or he isn't hurting, while all these people are being laid off. And the former employees say that the colleagues that have stayed on, the ones that were not laid off, are being asked to take pay cuts and are not receiving bonuses. And that during the pandemic, even though they were remote, the employees who were customer facing were forced to clock in breaks at exactly 15 minutes and 30 minutes. So it sounds like a really shitty place to work. No,
it doesn't sound fun. Clearly, it is. I do know that they grew rather aggressively, which is probably part of the reason for this layoff. Starting with the pandemic, or since the pandemic, they've hired an additional 2,000 people, which is too many people to hire all at once.
That's a lot of people.
In the course
it was
of
over 2020, and the market has been expanding rapidly. But after 18 months of rapid expansion, driven by allegedly historically lower interest rates, the market is now expected to contract. So that's the reason that was given for the layoff, including the Better's automation efforts. And I don't know what this means. I mean, I know what it means, but automation efforts mean fewer manual processes and a business that is more machine-driven. I don't know what that looks like. I'm calling bullshit on that one, but sure, Vishal.
No, it sounds future, and that's a fishing, that's bait for future investors to come into the company they've got more going on. But what he doesn't realize yet is he is now so toxic that he cannot be involved if this company wants to become a regular he could take the money and run.
I bet he does.
What I would do.
I bet he takes the money and starts another company. It's probably what'll happen.
Well, yes, and isn't this interesting, Juliet, that you bring that up and phrase it that way? Because let me share a little bit with you about Vishal Garg. And how he came to Better.com. And
all right, cool.
Where's this idea of taking the money and starting a new company? Well, yes, because that's exactly what he's always done. So Vishal was born in India and moved to Queens with his parents when he was 7 years old. Friends from high school will say that he was an entrepreneur even in high school. He would buy Cliff Notes and then sell them at school for increased cost, right? And he had a friend in high school, a guy named Raza Khan, and he and Raza both went to NYU, and their friendship continued into college. And Vishal was really good with numbers and kind of business strategy, and Raza was just really good with tech. And so together, because they were at college and dealing with loans and all of that, they recognized that there was an issue around student loans. And they started a company called My Rich Uncle. They started it in 2000 and it ran till about 2007. They started it with a $30,000 investment from Raza's brother. They did $320 million in student loans. And,
wow.
And everything was going great for them until the 2008 financial crisis forced my rich uncle into bankruptcy.
Wow.
So that kind of sucks. But because they had started one business and because they had made money off of loans, right?
Yep.
And because the financial crisis was a result of subprime mortgage lending loans, very similar type of construct to student loans, because you can get a loan to go to college and not have a job.
Yeah.
It's just the promise of you're going to stay alive to pay that loan off.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, Fannie Mae. I'm looking at you. Okay. So in a crisis driven by subprime mortgages, the pair spotted an opportunity by building on software models developed at My Rich Uncle, developed by Raza. They believed they could analyze mortgage portfolios and identify loans that were wrongly made. For example, a borrower, here I'm still reading, for example, a borrower never had the means to pay off their loan or home appraisal, or the home appraisal was grossly inflated. In those cases, investors could sue the banks that had issued and sold the bad loans, potentially recouping some of their losses. All right, That's cool. So that's their business, right? The thing that drove them out of business, the financial crisis, started by the subprime mortgage. They're sort of in the mix now, helping companies find ways to get some of their money back from banks. And this went on for about 3 years until about 2013, when Raza noticed that the finances weren't adding up. And there seemed to be about $3 million missing dollars. And so he sued Vishal. Now, Raza says that Vishal stole the algorithm from My Rich Uncle that was later turned into this algorithm that help companies deal with the subprime crisis. I'm getting too lost in all of the because I don't care.
Okay,
right?
sure.
So they had the one company that was My Rich Uncle student loans, and they had the other company that dealt with banks and loans, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying that Vishal stole that software and stole some money and started better.com and kind of iced him out. So he stole some money and he stole my idea and he started his own business and he didn't tell me about it and I'm suing him. And so Vishal has called his former business partner a total charlatan who used to be my best friend. He has denied taking money, right? And he said to daily.com, if you're going to do another hit job, you might as well. So, meaning he was speaking to a reporter and is rather defensive. So it's ugly. And the guy that he was going to staple to a wall is Raza Khan and then set Raza on fire. So there seems to be a little bit of history around accusations of stealing money, taking money, and starting new businesses. So what you said was not only prophetic, but seemingly on brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I bet that's what happens because he doesn't really know how to do anything else. He doesn't know how to run a company once he started one, obviously. So the only thing he knows how to do is to start a company, and he may be very good at that. Maybe his attitude and his just demeanor is useful in starting a company, but it's not useful in running a company.
Exactly. And there are those people who can start a business, have great business ideas, and then they can't run it. And at a certain point,
should not be anywhere near it after a certain point. Yeah.
A successful entrepreneur, and I will quote a friend, I know when to get out of the way.
Right. Yeah, that's the key. It really is. So let's talk about the apology. The Garg wrote a letter to his employees on Tuesday, posted it on the company website, which is interesting. And he said, "Team, I want to apologize for the way I handled the layoffs last week. I failed to show the appropriate amount of respect and appreciation for the individuals who were affected and for their contributions to Better. I own the decision to do the layoffs, but in communicating it, I blundered the execution. In doing so, I embarrassed you." I realize that the way I communicated this news made a difficult situation worse. I am deeply sorry, and I am committed to learning from this situation and doing more to be the leader that you expect me to be. At Better, your dedication, focus, and expertise are essential in the vital work we are doing to unlock the value, joy, and opportunity of homeownership for our customers across the country. I couldn't be more grateful for all you are accomplishing for the customers we serve. We will talk more at our upcoming all-hands meeting about what to expect for the year ahead. I hope you'll join me for the discussion. We are also taking fast steps to make sure we are very transparent and aligned as a company on the goals for 2022, the metrics that matter most, and how we can all work together even better to serve our customers and achieve our mission. I believe in you, I believe in Better, and I believe that working together, we can make home ownership better together. Thank you, Vishal. So somebody wrote that for him.
He might have written that himself, but I'm going to say, like, yeah, not impressed, right? It's sort of like, how can you believe anything this guy says about the quality of the work that you're doing as an employee when he let 900 other people go and then basically said that they were shit?
Yeah, and the people that are left over are shit too, and that they're all dumb dolphins. So I mean, this email or this letter is just lip service. It's pretty clear. It's just bullshit. And he's not going to be at the upcoming all hands meeting now because he's being placed on administrative leave. So good. Hopefully the all hands meeting, which should be very interesting, goes well. And
hopefully gets recorded and put out online so that we can see it.
I bet it will. Because when this all happened, I was on TikTok, as I am 90% of my life now, and I saw the Zoom meeting on TikTok where Vishal was laying people off, and I bet somebody is going to record the all hands just like they did the layoff meeting. So I look forward to seeing that maybe next week.
Yeah. If I was the board of Better.com, I would really hire some fucking smart people, and I would get the shit figured out real fast, because anything you say or do moving forward, here's where they're going to call us after we drop this episode, and they'd be like, "You guys, please help us figure this out.
Help us. You obviously know how to do this." So as for an apology, I rate it 2.
How funny, because I also rated a 2, and the only reason I'm giving it a 2 is because he says sorry twice, so I just figured I'd give him, he's not sorry at all. Fuck him. I mean, again, I will say I get the impulse and maybe seemingly even the need to be the person who delivers the bad news, right?
Yeah.
I'm a grown-up. It's my company. I made this decision. My responsibility. Yes. Could have been handled much differently and better. Yes. Right. And maybe you allow your people to do the layoff, right? You do your line managers so that your boss is giving you the bad news and you're getting all the hugs, right? And then send out a little email video of you saying nice things, right?
Yes. That would work.
I mean, it's just not hard.
Totally.
So Better, when you contact us, our phone number's on our website. Yes, we will help you.
We'd like tens of $1 million in stock options, please, that invest immediately.
Oh, yeah, please. I mean, come on. Hi, we understand you hand out stock options left, right, and center, so we expect them.
Yeah. And assuming they're still going to go public, which I believe has been postponed now.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And that's another move, and it's a smart one, right? Yeah. They need to dial it back. They need to allow some time to happen, but also the investors aren't that excited to jump into Better.com because this shit could disappear in a minute.
I mean, really, this company is obviously not being well managed, so who would want to invest?
Exactly, right? And
people are unhappy. They're handling everything poorly.
There's a lot of lawsuits out there around the CEO. And so, and a lot of those lawsuits allege stealing money. So what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're doing
I'm going to say
damage control. Mm-hmm. 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 So, okay.
Who saw this coming?
Nobody. Who's sorry now, Theo? Have you got a who's sorry now or an apologies expected?
I have a who's sorry now. And my who's sorry now is the Disney Corporation. So,
Ooh.
yes, as from many reasons. But
Okay.
way back in the day, I had a job at Disney. I was an admin assistant in
Yes.
the marketing department at Disneyland.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
started off as a temp, and my boss liked me and wanted to hire me. And so I
Yep.
went through a bunch of hurdles to get
Yep.
actually hired by Disney. And one of those hurdles was
Yeah.
getting through the HR department because they just made there were things you had to do. You had to type so many words a minute, right?
Oh, yeah.
I had to take typing tests so that I could get my speed up, right? And then that was really it. It was like, you've got to type more than 60 words a minute accurately. Okay, cool. So I got to
Right.
that point, and whatever, I got hired, yay. But it was a process.
Yeah.
But when I first joined Disney, I didn't want to be there. It was just a paycheck. I was a temp. I was just showing up and doing my thing, right? But I got to know the
Yeah.
people, and I liked them. And I remember when they hired me, my boss said, this time next year, you're going to turn around and you're going to realize all of your friends are Disney people. All of your clothing is Disney.
Wow.
Everything you do is going to be centered around the company, and you're going to be
Scary.
very happy about it. And I was like, I'm a gypsy poet who smokes pot on the beach. I am not going to. And a year later, it was true. I referred to things as inside, outside. So if you didn't work at Disney, you worked on the outside. That was the whole world,
Oh, wow.
right?
Wow.
If you worked at Disney, you were inside. If you're a cast member, you were inside.
Wow.
We had a thing called the Mickey check, where when you were getting dressed and throwing on your clothes to go out, to go to the grocery store or to go out to party or whatever, right? You were just leaving the house. On your time off, you would stand in the mirror and you'd have to make sure you weren't wearing more than 3 Mickey Mouse anythings, because you would have like a blue denim shirt with a small Mickey logo on it, right? You might be wearing
my
a hat
God.
with Donald Duck on it. You might be wearing a watch. Watches were big with a Mickey thing on it. No more than 3 Mickeys. The Mickey check. Right?
Wow.
And it's true. All of my friends, like outside of my friend Terry
Yeah.
and Jody, right?
Yeah.
All my other friends worked at Disney. I had dropped
Wow.
all of my outside friends. I quit smoking
Wow.
pot on the beach, right? I quit writing bad
Wow.
poetry at dawn. I never did it at dawn. So cool. And that happened in a year. So 3 years later, I got a call to come down to the head office.
Yeah.
And it was a call that I was dreading because word was on the street that layoffs were coming. And everybody, and I worked on a floor with 300 people, right? And the
Yeah.
building was like 4 stories. I was
Yeah.
as Disney as they came, right?
Wow.
And everyone was just sitting at their desk waiting for their phone to ring. And you could, it was open cube situation, right? High walls,
Yeah.
but open cube. If
Yeah.
you stood up, you could look around and see everybody. And
Sure.
you would hear somebody's phone ring, and then
no.
you would see them get up and walk down the hall, and it happened all
Wow.
day long. And I made it up to lunch. And at lunch, I
Jeez.
was like, all right, I think I'm going to make it. And I got called after lunch, and I walked down the hall, and I won't say her name. She was a very nice lady. I liked her, and she was very sweet. And she told me I was laid off, and I started to cry, and she felt bad, right? And she wanted me to know it wasn't anything personal. It wasn't job related. It wasn't performance related. And they were going to help me, and they were going to do this, that, and it. She was a VP, and I was a nothing. I mean, I say that with
Yeah.
all due respect to me and how marvelous I am.
Right.
I was nothing to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was admin assistant. Jesus.
Right.
But she said I could use her as a reference, and she would personally help me find jobs. Right. And so that was great. And then she said, now you just have to step into this room over here and meet with some of these job placement counselors who are going to help you learn to build a resume or improve your resume, and and there's some benefit things you have to meet with and understand, and some
Yeah.
forms you have to sign. And I said, I want to go home right now,
Yeah.
and I can do this later. And she said, no, you have to do it now. And I said, no.
Wow.
And I was in such a state of shock and emotional everything, right? Because I was being kicked outside, right? It wasn't no longer inside. And I couldn't. I needed time to process, but they forced me. And when I say forced, I mean, it took them 20 minutes to get inside that room, right?
Wow.
And I sat down with a woman who smiled and said a lot of things in English, which is the language that I speak. And none of it meant a thing, right? And I just said to her, look, I know you have a job to do, and you're really lucky that you have that job to do. I don't have a job to do right now, so why don't you just give me the forms and I'll sign them, and then I'm going to go find a job.
Right.
Right? And she was like, well, we don't want you to feel this way about it, and la, la, la. And it was like, there is one way to feel about it, and it's let me sign the forms and get out of there. And so then I left the room, the second room, right? And I walked back to my cube and got my stuff. And of course, I had moved into my cube, so I had a lot of personal effects. And so I got a box and I filled up all of my toys and all of my photos and mementos and just everything, right? And then I took the box because I had to walk out to my car, and Chobi, the security guy, who was a really nice guy, was standing there waiting to walk me out, right? And instead, Chobi had to wait another 30 minutes while I walked around and said goodbye to everybody, because these were my friends. These were people that I knew and that I liked and that I respected. I wasn't going around saying, fuck this place and fuck them and fuck that. I'm saying, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work with you, right?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it to everybody. And it was part of delaying the inevitable of I'm going to have to go outside and go to my car and then be like, oh, I don't have a job, Thank God I'm like 22, super attractive, so I'll get a job, no problem.
Right.
But, and I was like, and I'll just get a job at Disney. I'll just keep coming back. And that did not happen. Life went a different direction. But I think forcing employees who say they are not ready to go sit down with a job counselor, you should be allowed to go home. So Disney owes me an apology for forcing me to do something that I was not prepared to do. And the paperwork that I signed, an attorney, I think, would take that and be like, he didn't know what he was doing when he did this. Anyway, it doesn't matter because that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
So over and done now.
5 years ago. It was more than 5 years ago.
27. How dare you?
Oh, okay. I've never been laid off. I took a deal to leave early, I guess, or whatever. Leave voluntarily. It was called voluntary something or other. That I was eligible for at this company I'd worked for like 15 or 20 years. I don't know how long it was. 15 years, I think.
You worked there for 15 years?
I worked there for 15 years. And then this opportunity came up for me to take this early thing. And I was like, sure, because they were going to give me a year's salary plus a bunch of other shit. So I took it and ran. And then I didn't work for the next year and just traveled around the country. It was great.
Okay, see, so that's the mistake. You should have taken all that money and put it in the bank and then gotten 2 jobs and started working immediately. That sounds like a dream. You just took the money and lived for a year and traveled and did things.
It was great. Me and my dog Josie, we traveled around the Southwest and we went paddleboarding everywhere. It was great. We went paddleboarding in all the different Southwest states. And well, she didn't do the paddleboarding. I did the paddleboarding. She did a lot of walking around, but it was fun. I am really grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. So, yay. All right, so I have an apologies expected, and it is related to last week's apologies expected. I mentioned last week that I was expecting an apology from the North Beach restaurant Hilda and Jesse, which refused service, if you remember, to 3 uniformed on-duty police officers because their weapons made employees nervous. And this week, they apologized. So in their apology, they said, we made a mistake and apologized for the unfortunate incident on Friday when we asked members from the SFPD to leave our restaurant. And police officers told the NBC Bay Area that they were shocked to hear about what had happened. And they said that North Beach tends to be very officer-friendly, which it probably is because it's pretty upscale. So I predicted an apology, and it came true in less than a week. I'm proud of myself.
You have an accurate read on.
So, yay, I win.
Hey, you win.
I win the podcast today.
So, are you going to go and eat at that restaurant?
No. No, maybe if they didn't apologize, I would go. But since they did apologize, now they're on their own.
Well, I've got to say, the last thing you want to do when you're a business is piss off the cops. Yeah.
For sure.
And Vishal, if you're listening to this, truly, the last thing you want to do is piss off the cops.
So with that advice, I think we'll close our podcast for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yes.
And we will see you next week.
With Christmas.
Christmas, yay. All right,
Yay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Apologies Accepted, the podcast.
You can find links to the articles and the sources in the show notes.
To submit an apology or find out more, visit us at apologiesaccepted.net, where you can also find our merchandise.
We're on Twitter at Apologies Accepted.
And on Instagram at apologies.accepted.
You can support our important work at Patreon.com/Apologies Accepted.
And fuck Facebook.
Bye.
Bye.